Hello and welcome to another episode of Autogefuhl. On today's show, we're going to be taking a look at the new MBUX. The new MBUX will make its appearance in the new S-Class. The most significant change is now the huge central vertical display with touch only. Secondly, the instrument cluster can be viewed in 3D. This is tricky to catch on camera, but the human eye will see a stereoscopic 3D image. Thirdly, the head-up display now enables augmented reality, so you can, for example, see arrows displayed as they would be on the road in your line of sight. Finally, individual users will have their own user accounts to personalize their MBUX settings. Let's now dig into the details.
So Ozan, now we're in the driver's seat, I'm in the throne. A lot of exciting stuff to go through here. So let's start by talking about the instrument cluster over here. So what is new about this?
So what's new is, which is also first to market and will be very important for us, is the 3D ability of the instrument cluster.
Right.
Now you might know this from the movies, from your TV, where you put on glasses and you have to really create that 3D effect with the glasses. Here we can do it without. So this is also the big innovation here. We have a full screen instrument cluster that is capable of 3D graphics, which adds another dimension. Absolutely. And gives us much more possibility.
Yeah, so I activate that by tapping on this over here, and now it says 3D mode on, and wow, it's incredible. Unfortunately, you guys on the watching this at home on YouTube, you will not be able to experience this because there are cameras here, right? There's a stereoscopic camera right here in this notch, which is tracking my eyes, and it's projecting two images in accordance with that. So if I tilt my head, and the image is shifting based on that. So this 3D view is only for me. And I totally agree with you because, when you're looking at the navigation, even if you're going around a roundabout or something simple and basic like that, you always have to try to connect in your mind, what you see on the screen versus what's really happening. Even this quote-unquote 3D view of the map that you guys had before, right? You kind of have to correlate and extrapolate that information to what you're actually driving. But now with this three-dimensional view, it's a lot more intuitive because it's like you're kind of following like a top-down, like from a drone view in the real world, because you have a lot of 3D projections of the buildings and the surroundings as you're driving through. So I know that you guys have also partnered with NVIDIA, so they're supplying a lot of the hardware, the autonomous chips. Of course, you're using your own software and your software providers for the rest of this, so really impressive technology. But what else is there applicabilities for the 3D view apart from just the map?
So we also have a lot of context.
Right.
So as you also know from the full screen in the 2018 A-Class, we have a lot of context. The contexts are smarter now. They're more intelligent. So you will also see into the 3D view here, your, for example, calendar information and maybe meetings you have to reach with the navigation. But also we have used this 3D then especially on the sport view here, where you kind of really go into the screen and you have...
like I'm warping through like a tunnel. Yeah, it's really interesting. I have a G-force meter, engine data. I'm a bit of a true enthusiast or a connoisseur when it comes to sports cars, and for me, it's going to be a little bit hard to deviate from having my two analog dials with the tach and the speedo. But I mean, this is like a video game. It's so interesting, and it is fairly intuitive because right now, of course, there's no engine, there's no throttle pedal, there's no animation. But from the video that I saw earlier in your presentation, how the red lights, the graphics kind of come closer, it is very very interesting. But I must say, these trackpads, of course, my wrist is broken. Sorry, viewers, I apologize. I had a paragliding accident, so I've kind of injured my leg and my wrist, so I can't really operate this. But with this one as well, I personally would have liked maybe nice metal knurled balls here, which click when I go left, right, or up and down. But these capacitive pads are what I'm going to use to navigate through the menus. They don't provide any haptic feedback, right? I don't feel any haptic feedback on the steering wheel pads.
No, you have direct control with the finger navigation.
Right, okay.
Here you or with a thumb, like known from the A-Class. We extended it also to the continuous development of the MBUX because we got a lot of good feedback about it, and especially that you get used to controlling your features with that. And of course, the same behavior left for the instrument cluster and right for the central display. So we kept a lot of the good DNA from the MBUX from 2018.
So apart from this new 3D view on the instrument cluster, we have a totally different orientation for the head unit. You know, before it was more horizontal up here. Now, I mean, of course, this capsule you're using to showcase the new design is more just wrapped around this MBUX these tablets and these screens. But of course, I can somehow envision the new S-Class to also be similar because this takes up quite a large portion of the center console. There is no trackpad anymore. Of course, to mixed opinions, the climate control is also now completely part of the touchscreen. You do have actual buttons over here. All right, so now this is the first ever augmented reality head-up display that Mercedes is going to roll out in its new S-Class. So this, of course, adds on so much more functionality than the standard head-up display. So it shows you your speed and your, the traffic light recognition, the assistance systems that you have, the basic things. But in addition to that, there's a whole new world of different interactions and animations possible. The example you see right now is the navigation. So these arrows will be floating in space in augmented reality in front of you, going forward, skipping ahead, showing you where you have to turn left and right. There's also the cameras that are tracking your eyes. So the way you tilt your head and move your head will also, impact the way this animation is rolling. It also will give you a much more intuitive way to understand your assistance systems. So for example, if you're driving with your adaptive cruise control and you want to change the distance with the car that you're maintaining in the front, then you can see, an animation of, for example, a green line that's being drawn to the car in front. And in that way, you can see exactly how far you want to maintain the distance and just generally the interaction with reality and animation through this AR technology, I think is a whole new, changes the game, and we can expect this in the S-Class, and I'm really excited about it. Let's summarize today's show about the new MBUX. I personally think that it's come quite a long way. Of course, some of the new technology stuff that we can expect, and we've already seen in some other competitor vehicles before, like the haptic feedback on the touchscreen. The central display, I also like that they have now shifted to a more vertical, rectangular, or rather a square-like display rather than the long horizontal one before. Much more modern, yes. I think we're going to have to start getting used to controlling the air conditioning on the touchscreen rather than having actual physical buttons and knobs. I also would have liked a little bit more physical buttons on the steering wheel, or at least rollers for these navigation. These haptic feedback is not always the best. But nevertheless, incremental upgrades, which is always welcome. But I think, to me, the two big takeaway features, and are also these two features are the first to market, would be the 3D view for the instrument cluster, which I think looks really great. Everybody might not be interested in that. It's like watching a 3D movie. Sometimes it's a little bit, can give you a headache, I guess. But time will tell. I've never driven this. None of us have. So we'll see how that fares in the real world. The other thing which I really am excited about is the augmented reality head-up display, projecting your navigation, your media, or whatever other information that is useful onto the windshield, and in that those objects interact in the real space. That's something that I'm really excited to try out. The new S-Class will be out in September of this year. Stay tuned, subscribe to Autogefuhl so you can watch our coverage of that event. Let me know what you guys think. Do you like this new technology? Do you like where this is headed? Do you like the 3D and the augmented reality? Tell me, put it down in the comments below.